for ikhtiyal, when someone has a very imaginative view of themselves. You know, have you ever heard the expression, get off your high horse? It's actually that in a very real sense. When someone starts imagining themselves to be someone they're actually not. When someone has a false perception of themselves. It's as if they're not seeing their real self, they're seeing their imagined self. That's a crazy thing. You know, when you look in the mirror, you see yourself. But actually, a phenomenon in the world is, sometimes there's your real self, and there's the self that you want everybody else to see. There's a self that you want everybody else to be impressed with, right? Or the way you speak when you're on your own, the way you feel. You could be someone very scared and vulnerable, and you could be someone very shy and, you know, someone not very sure of themselves, not very confident. But when you're among your friends, you're outspoken and you're loud and you're aggressive and you're just a completely different person. You just become a different person. You might have friends like that. When they're with you, they're totally normal. And then when you see them with their other friends, they become a different creature. They transform themselves completely because they allow others, the impression they want to give to others, to start shaping them. And when you do that enough times, when you let other people define how you should dress, how you should talk, how you should behave, then you start imagining a version of yourself that they will like, that will be cooler, right? And when you do that pretend enough times, then the real you starts getting suffocated, and all you see is the pretend you. And the difference between the real you and the pretend you is a pretty big difference. And what's the biggest difference? The biggest difference between these two is that the real you actually cares about what's right and wrong. That's the ruh Allah put inside you. The real you actually is concerned about what is beneficial and what is harmful. What makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Not just even in the religious sense, in life. The real you is a sensible, thoughtful, emotionally sensitive human being. You're a caring human being. But this fake self, this imagined self, this mukhtal self, this version of you, the only concern it has is, what are people going to think? How will this be perceived? So all the actions are, so much of their actions are, or that person's actions that lives inside you, the mukhtal, are based on what impression am I going to give if I dress like this, if I talk like this, if I hang out with this person. Oh, sorry, I can't be seen next to you because it looks bad. Or I can't say that because that looks bad. Or I can't dress like that because I'm not sure if that's okay. And that can become so powerful that you can have, for example, you know, there was a time, for example, even in Western societies, where modesty for women's clothing was actually the norm, right? And there were actually, you know, citations, and even in churches, people looked down upon if they were dressed and too exposed and things like that. That's not Muslim society, that's Christian, even Jewish societies, right? And then with the advent of postmodernism, and as the world transforms, now you have, for example, the dress code at a beach, right? And at a beach, people are practically not wearing any clothes. And when you go there, now the mindset was so changed that if you are dressed at a beach, you're made to feel weird. What are you doing? Why aren't you naked? Why aren't you practically naked? You know, why aren't you in your undergarments? Because this is the place that's normal here. In other words, perceptions of people, these same clothes, if you were 1 mile that way, you'd be humiliated. If you were in an office, you wouldn't imagine yourself that way. If you were at an airport, you'd be disgraced. But you tell yourself, this is normal here. It's human eyes looking at you. You're in the public sphere. Nothing's actually changed other than sand and water, right? But the imagined self is so powerful that it can make you leave your values. Something that even from a non-Muslim point of view, you were uncomfortable with it anywhere else. You became comfortable with it. Because the perception is really important. And that mukhtal can actually drive so much of a person's life, and people realize it's a really powerful thing to want to impress others, right? There's a reason that when teenagers become more self-aware, they spend a lot of time in the mirror. They spend a lot of time in front of the mirror, boys and girls. Right? When kids are younger, they're like, and they're not brushing their teeth, their hair's going all over the place. And they don't care. You know, they can wear the same shirt, and their mom, is that the same shirt from last week? I need to take you to a haircut. Oh, a haircut? I don't want to go. Right? But then as they get older and become more self-aware, now they're like, how are people seeing me? Are people going to comment on my clothes, or on my shoes, or on my backpack, or on my socks? And now everything is about my impression, my appearance is being taken into consideration. The word mukhtal actually suggests that this is someone who lives only for to maintain a perception and an image. They're no longer authentic. If they can't even be true to themselves, how can they be true to anybody else? How can they even appreciate truth itself? The thing about truth, by the way, is that it's always uncomfortable. Truth always makes somebody uncomfortable. Truth is always a difficult pill to swallow. So by definition, truth is not good for your public image. Truth is not good for how people might perceive you. Go with the flow, now that's way easier. You understand? Prophets ﷺ were the most humiliated people in the world by their own nations because they wouldn't let go of the truth. And some of the people that enjoy the most prestige and people that enjoy the most high class in society, you'll notice something: lying and making sure perception and PR is their top priority are people that they see that is the key to their success. They associate that with their success. So what is it then? You know what it is? Why I'm taking the time to explain this to you, for what basic reason? The basic reason is when you have that mukhayyal, that imagined version of yourself that wants to impress others, your goal becomes to acquire the love of people. Your goal has become to acquire the love of people. With that in mind, listen to what Allah says. Wallahu la yuhibbu kulla mukhtalin. Allah, in fact, He doesn't love anybody who's mukhtal. He's not going to give His love to someone who is obsessed with giving their love, obsessed with running after the love of everyone else. So there's a remarkable statement here by Allah Azza wa Jal. We're not even getting to fakhur yet, because Allah is drawing a contrast, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's also important to note that this is a jumla ismiya. I won't get too grammatical with you, but the point is al-ithbatu ala ghayr al-fa'il, which in simple English means it isn't Allah who loves people like that, but others do. There are others who will feed your fake self. There are others who will put thumbs up on your, filtered pictures. And there are others who are going to comment and boast and further that fake version and encourage that fake version to keep going. To feed it even more and more. And it becomes a self-fulfilling, propelling thing. And now that love, and you have people that just, especially now in the world of social media, it's all about perception, isn't it? It's all about image, right? And what happens? And these people that are so obsessed with their image and coming across a certain way, then somebody secretly video records them in a conversation somewhere where their real self, which they've been starving, the real self of you has kindness in it, has mercy in it, has fairness in it, has courtesy, has these good qualities in it, right? But when you keep starving it, those qualities start disappearing. So your real self becomes ugly the more your fake self is beautified. So somebody secretly records the real ugly self, and then they're getting slammed online and exposed for who they really are and all this stuff because there was no feeding being done to the inner self, right? That wasn't being done. But people like that, they'll gain massive followings and say, I love all you guys. I love all my fans. You don't. You don't love any of them. If any of them were in pain, you'd feel pain? What's the definition of love? Love means you want good for someone else. What's the definition of the love of a mother for a child? She wants to protect the child. She wants to make sure the child is being taken care of. She wants well-being for the child. She wants good for their future. That's love, isn't it? Love isn't, I love you, now praise me. I love you for praising me. I love you for complimenting me. That's my love for you. Thank you so much. No, that's not. None of this is real. All of this is fake. Fake on top of fake on top of fake. And this father tells his son, when you go out there, a lot of people will live that fake life. And they feed each other that fake life. When you're going to go out there, you're going to meet a lot of those people. And that's why, وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ. Kulla is actually for jamia, right? For a large group, all or every. So he's saying you're going to run into a lot of people like that in life. And you might become one of those too. You and I, all of us have an element of that in us, but it's got to stay under control until it doesn't become us. It doesn't take over us.